Hey up lads and lasses, Damphyre here, back again with some more Infinite Lagrange. So today we are carrying on with the cruisers. There's no more new information I have on the new ship or the new server type or rework server type. Still haven't quite worked out what's going on with that. So I'm going to just carry on with the cruisers. We have, I believe, the Predator, the CAS and the Callisto left. Pretty much missing a few of all of those, so that's going to be a bit of a pain, but I'll do what I can. So we'll start off with the CAS, because why not? So the CAS, you got the integrated type, the artillery type, and the aircraft type. At the start of the game, you get the integrated type for free. The starter box, as you will, always has the integrated type in, so you just guarantee to get it. It's actually a pretty decent ship to start off with for the cruisers. It's front row. It's got relatively good armor potential, high HP for cruisers, and, you know, all right mobility and stuff like that. Because it's front row, my recommendation here again is to go into the armor system, starting off by picking up probably your energy resistances first, and then picking up your HP second. That's mostly due to the fact that the HP is quite good on this already, so picking up one of the energy resistances actually helps you out short term over one of the HP resistances. However, as soon as you got that little bit of energy res, just go in all the HP and then pick up the last energy res for that last slot, and that's your armor system done. There is an argument here to, instead of picking up one of the other energy resistances, is picking up one of the extra physical resistances. This will bring you up to an extra 30 armor, bringing you up to 80 armor, and quite a few things sit around that sort of number that deal physical damage, albeit later on in servers. Chances of you running CAS is going to be pretty low because you'll probably have better cruisers by that point anyway. Not that people are running much in the way of cruisers at the moment either, so, you know, there is that. Then moving over into the heavy energy, I wish it was an energy torpedo, imagine that, it'd be friggin' amazing. Just the heavy torpedo system. It's actually not a bad system. It's got 420 damage per hit, 8-second duration, attacks 8 times per round. Cooldown's long with 35 seconds, but it's got a decent lock-on time of 5 seconds. So it can dish out, you know, like reasonable amount of damage in a reasonable space of time. It does get overshadowed a bit later on by other torpedo cruisers like the Callisto and that kind of thing. So bear that in mind. It is good early game, but later game, you will almost certainly have better cruisers by, you know, server 3, server 4, even server 2. The good potential you've picked up an extra cruiser by that point. So, start off with, again, pretty much with every ship build, always take the hit rate. You can ignore the hit rate against cruisers and higher class ships here, but take the base hit rate. That just gives a 2% bonus all around for each level, giving you like a nice 8% hit rate bonus. They are pretty accurate, the CAS, with the torpedoes, so it's not too bad in that circumstance. After that, there is sort of two ways to build it. You almost always go cooldown, and then you can pick up your damage. I'd recommend ignoring the rapid fire here. It's got a, you know, 15 seconds of 80% fire rate's great, but it, you know, it's once every 60 seconds and it has a 10-second cooldown between. So it's not actually going to trigger too often at all. Again, most of these strategies are not that good, unfortunately. There are sheep in wolves' clothes, as it were. They sound amazing, and you're going to give you massive damage outputs and stuff, but because of the short duration on a lot of them, they just don't work out to actually do all that well. Your second build, instead of picking up damage, is picking up the siege damage and turning this into a, you know, semi-IO-esque siege ship. It doesn't do as good a job as, say, the Siege IO, but in a pinch, it can be used this way, and it does all right. Again, it's got a 500 base cruising speed. You got a few upgrades to increase as well. I think it's like, yeah, 15%. and then another 15%. Brings you to around 650 movement speed, somewhere around there. And yeah, it's reasonable. You can use this in a pinch to go out outpost hunting or amp hunting if you haven't got anything better. So yeah, not too bad. You then have the standard integrated battery here. It's got a decent cannon on it, so it is worth actually putting points into here. Unfortunately, it also buffs the aircraft. Unfortunately, that does mean that, you are kind of having to choose between increasing the main cannon's damage, which is anti-ship, or trying to focus on its anti-aircraft weapons, if they ever work. So at the current moment, you really only care about the fact that it's got big cannons that can do damage to small ships. In sense of that, you want to pick up the hit rate against frigates, destroyers, pick up the double cooldown, and pick up one of the cannon damages. The primary weapons lock onto enemy aircraft and nearby row and launches attacks, increasing hit rate by 40%. No, it's all good and well, but you won't see it working too well at all. It just doesn't seem to function like most of the anti-air in this game, unfortunately. Or if they do function, they just do absolutely piss poor damage. So that's the integrated type. Now, as you can see, the artillery type and the aircraft type are locked for me. So we will jump into the tech route quickly just to sort of show off the ship itself a little bit, and I'll talk about them and what you can use them for. That's the aircraft type. No, that's the artillery type. Yeah, long range arm. Yeah, okay. So first off, again, you're mid-row with this ship, so you don't have to worry too much about the armor system. However, I'm going to recommend that you do go into the armor system on this one first. Picking up, it's the same as the base cast, so you're going to go for the 2 ship HPs on this one instead of the energy damage, mostly due to the fact that most energy damage is direct fire. That's why you kind of want a bit on the front row cruisers, as opposed to the mid-row cruisers, where they're not going to get hit by too much energy damage because not too much of it is indirect fire. So you can kind of get away with ignoring that extra energy damage resistance at the start and going into like flat HP buffs. After the HP, I'd recommend going into the long arm railgun system. I can't show off the stuff here, but it has got a very interesting strategy on it, where it's got a increased hit rate against frigates and destroyers, and it's permanent when targeting them, I believe, as well. So I'd recommend picking that up, any of the hit rates in there as well, and then go down the cooldown route and damage route to finishing off with your damage at the end. I believe also it has siege upgrades on here, and there is a pretty good potential for its siege damage. As you can see, it's hitting pretty well at siege damage. So there is a siege damage build for it as well, where you're going to be picking up any siege upgrades you can get and the cooldowns and that kind of thing. Hit rate's not going to be so important in that case, but it is nice to have. Defensive battery, again, it's pretty much the same upgrades as the base CAS. Although it's lost that nice 300 damage cannons, you've only got the generic anti-aircraft cannons, which is a bit of a shame, really, because those 300 damage cannons actually do add up. When those cannons plus the torpedoes, all of that's all firing, it does actually quite well. So, propulsion system, cruise speed, end it with the warp speed. And then the only other one, what is that ship? Oh, it's the ST-59. Okay, I swear they've changed the look of that ship a bit. Here we go. The aircraft cruiser version of the CAS. You lose the main armament system. You gain the corvette maintenance system. You lose one of the 300 damage cannons. There's 2 on the base CAS. Carries 2 corvettes, I believe. And again, I believe it's mid-row. Yeah, it's mid-row. So again, same thing, probably go into the armor system. After that, you're going to be upgrading your corvette dock. Depending entirely on what corvettes you plan on putting on here, you probably want to try and give them hit rate, RTB, and damage. And probably in that order as well. Again, it's going to depend on the corvettes a little bit. If you're putting T-800s on here, which personally wouldn't recommend. You're going to be looking more at the hit rates and the cooldowns to try and get that thing dishing out as much potential damage against aircraft as possible. But yeah, I mean, I've yet to see anybody using the CAS as an aircraft carrier. And there's probably a reason why it's probably not that good at it. Unfortunately, I don't have it to really judge properly. The anti-ship cannon, you got an extra slot here, so you could probably get your extra damage in here. Again, picking up hit rate against frigates, destroyers, because I'm guessing that's going to be there since it's the same system as the other CAS. Going double cooldown, and then double damage or something like that. But yeah, don't expect this to do much, even in a carrier circumstance. It does, however, have strategic strike, so in a pinch it could be used as your strike flagship. There are just better versions, though. It has got the nice anti-aircraft support, though, which the primary locks onto enemy aircraft in the nearby row and launches attacks, increasing hit rate by 40% every 30 seconds for 25 seconds. It's something I need to test, because technically the main system is the Corvette maintenance system on this version. So it'd be interesting to see if that forces your Corvettes to attack aircraft. Like, there is an argument that if you put something like the Voids on here, which potentially really good anti-aircraft, but unfortunately they target small ships, might actually be good in here. I'd have to test it out. Unfortunately, I don't have the ship, so I can't test that out. If you're in server at the moment and you have this ship, test out if the anti-aircraft support works on your Corvettes, because that could be quite useful. That might give you a reason to run this ship. The strategic strike at the strategic strike tier 2 at 120 degree area, not as useful as, say, as pretty much any of the carriers, which can get nice big blobs of circles and that kind of thing. But in a pinch, I guess you could use it. So that is it for the CAS. Fantastic early game ship. I do recommend running the base CAS in your fleets in the first server, second server, just because they make a fantastic wall of HP and, tankiness to get through, and they dish out, a reasonable amount of damage. You can also get a lot of them, which is quite nice as well. I believe, you can have 12 in active service. Recently did a video, I say recently, I think it was a server or two ago now, with Happy Gaming, and we tried to do a completely free-to-play, base level sort of fleet fits and throw them at each other. I think we both ended up running like all of our CAS, because that was, on our free-to-play, because it's a free ship you get from the starter boxes. And it was interesting, and you can see how well the CAS actually do in that battle, which is, it shows off that they're not incapable ships. There are better options later on. Early game, it's a good option, though. So that is the CAS066. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.